I am your friend, Dr. Charles Apoki. Happy New Year. One of the major events that happened recently is Peter Obi joining the ADC party. Now, I want to look at the Labour Party, Peter Obi, the ADC, and Atiku. Sometime in 2018, I met Governor Olusegun Mimiko at a lecture in the Sweet Spirit Hotel organized by the Nigerian Christian Graduate Association. And he spoke eloquently about his Abiye medical project, world acclaimed project that gained recognition. And I saw a passionate nationalist. And I spoke before him. He subsequently demanded for my contact, and he called that he was coming to visit me. He did visit me in Ogeli, and we went to my king at Efronto, and he subsequently invited me to Akure during his declaration for the presidency of this country under the Labour Party. And I gave a 5-minute speech and subsequently came back to Ogeli. Later, he invited me to, I'm saying this because of the Labour Party. It's a long discussion. If you are not interested, you can tune off. He subsequently invited me to Akure, to Abuja, to strategize on his presidential ambition. And that day, he was to go declare at the Labour Party headquarters in Abuja. Very humble gentleman. As we were going in his car, I asked him a simple question. Have you settled Mr. So and so, who used to be a radical in the Labour Party? And he said that was not a problem. But that fellow eventually led to his exit from the Labour Party to Zenith Labour Party. Why am I saying this? The Labour Party confuses labor unionism with party politics. The Labour Party, if they had organized themselves well and dropped labor activism in their minds and galvanized Nigerian workers, it would have been like the Labour Party in the United Kingdom. But most times, labor radicalism comes in. And so when Obi became their candidate, Peter Obi became their candidate, that was the greatest boost they ever had, because the obedient saw a man that fit their aspirations. And they moved massively to support the Labour Party in their numbers, with their resources, with their physical being and their intellectual capacity. What was disparaged as a few people tweeting with laptops in their room became a massive national movement. If not for some issues beyond the discussion of this post, Obi would have been our president by now. So the Labour Party got to a point where all kinds of radicals and funny fellows were going to court here and there because they had seen the entrance of the obedience into the Labour Party as an opportunity to gain relevance and even make money. The other thing that happened in the Labour Party was that all those who used the shoulders of Peter Obi to climb into power, into the Senate, into House of Representatives, into Houses of Assembly, apart from Governor Alex Oti, they betrayed the trust of the obedience. They either became mute dogs who could not even bark, not to talk of bite, or they became very, very docile and were more interested in their pockets and their bellies. And they eventually decamped from the Labour Party. They were a big disappointment to the obedience. Now, Obi could not have depended on the fragmented, quarrelsome, disorganized Labour Party to win even a Senate seat. My very good friend, George Mogalu, contested under the Labour Party in Anambra State for governorship recently, and he lost, even though Obi is from Anambra State. Now, Obi could not have done anything tangible contesting under the Labour Party for presidency. So, Obi joining the ADC and his declaration at Enugu attracted a lot of political heavyweights from the southeast and across party lines and from different parts of the country to welcome him to the ADC. However, people like me are worried about the strange bedfellows he has gone to meet in the ADC, even though many of them were with him in the PDP. Now, the question is, do we blame Peter Obi for joining the ADC? You could say yes, but I will say no. He is a politician. I'm not a politician. Now, if you were traveling with a Rolls Royce to a hospital or to an important event that threatens your existence, and the Rolls Royce breaks down, and then a Camry car, Toyota Camry pencil light, drives by to pick you up to your destination, would you wait for the Rolls Royce to be repaired before you travel? Definitely no. You enter the pencil light car, even if the driver has body odor and mouth odor. You will bear until you reach your destination, particularly if it is an existential threat. And so, when the ideal is not available, you make the best use of what is available. Now, party politics in Africa and in Nigeria in particular is really not based on philosophy. It's based on using the machinery to reach where you want to go to. And let me now talk about the ADC. The ADC has a lot of political heavyweights, but with a lot of baggages. and historical precedents that are not necessarily the ideal that Nigerians and maybe the obedience want. So, but the ADC has a lot of support, shadow support from what I am gathering from my sources. People who act like pillars in different parts of the country that still control the loyalty of a lot of fellows, both in the APC, PDP, and now ADC. There are pillars who control a lot of followers and have a lot of leverage that are supporting the ADC in the background. They have not come out. But the way the nation is going, people would want an alternative to the APC. Now, the fragmentation of the PDP will provide a platform for those who have not joined the APC. So you might see a lot of ADC politicians, PDP politicians, realizing that the virus that has that has weakened the Labour Party is virtually destroying the PDP, and they have some political strength. They will want to align with the ADC to achieve their political aims. And so we might see a situation where the ADC will become very strong before now and 2027. Then, one other thing that will happen is that the Apoki theory, I'm a social scientist, I have a master's degree, and I'm an A student. I made the best results in the graduating class. The ADC might suffer from the Apoki polythene bag theory. Every polythene bag has a certain weight it can carry. When you exceed that weight, the tensile strength will give up and it will tear and it will leak out or spill out some of the contents. And so that's what happened in the British Empire. It became too large. The Songhai Empire, the Mali Empire became too large. The Soviet Union became too large. And with discontent and hardship and scarcity and rumblings, they eventually tore. I believe that the PDP suffered the same fate when it declared itself as the biggest party in Africa, that they will rule Nigeria for 100 years. They ignored the Apoki polythene bag theory, and it split apart, and the fragments are being mopped up by the APC with Senator Akpabio making fun of them. So the APC might have its own crisis. Those who will not benefit from the primaries and whatever would decamp to the ADC with time. However, the EFCC will become a tool to scuttle that party, the ADC momentum, because a lot of their candidates who worked under Buhari are being scrutinized and being incarcerated. It might cause a panic in the party and weaken the ADC. But before 2026, there will be a lot of court cases, adjournments, bills granted, and that might not be very effective. Only a few of them might end up in jail because it's like kettle calling pot black. Now, the next thing is the Atiku factor. Bobaka Atiku had been vice president before, and I think that a lot depends on him because he's also a political heavyweight. The results of the last election, even though a lot of people believe that they were manipulated, which is quite obvious from revelations from places like Rivers State and the antecedents in Lagos State, show that Atiku scored higher than Peter Obi, but he did not win some states. If you add the votes of Peter Obi and Atiku, the total was far, far higher than that of Tinubu and has a bigger spread. Now, the APC has zoned the presidency to the south. The PDP also zoned the presidency to the south. But Atiku did not follow the zoning. He picked, what's this man's name again, my governor before? Senator Ifeanyi Okowa, as his running mate, contrary to the agreement the PDP had. And it was now a battle between North and South. Excuse me, a triangular battle, North versus South, South versus South. And Tinubu was declared president by INEC and subsequently by the Supreme Court. So would Atiku allow Peter Obi to become the presidential candidate of the ADC? Will Peter Obi have enough resources, particularly since he does not give shishi, to influence the primaries for him to become the presidential candidate? I want your opinions. The next thing is that will Atiku put national interest uppermost beyond his ambition, personal ambition, and support Peter Obi to become the presidential candidate of the ADC? I want your opinions. If Atiku supports Peter Obi to become the presidential candidate of the ADC, it will be a very, very tough fight between Tinubu and Peter Obi. Remember, Peter Obi defeated Tinubu in Lagos State in one of the elections before the political gerrymandering and gangsterism and everything that happened. So, Atiku holds the aces, and those who are the shadow supporters of the ADC should come out strongly to decide if Atiku will step down, let Peter Obi, who has a followership spread among the Gen Z generation, to run. And the bargaining chip might be Peter Obi will be a one-term presidential candidate, so that when the presidency of the APC will be zoned to the north, Atiku can then get the presidential candidate slot for the ADC. However, all these calculations will depend on how President Tinubu handles the issue of the economy, in particular, the way he handles the economy, the tax laws, how the people will react to the tax laws. You remember Kenya and tax laws? You remember what is going on in Iran because of economic decline and the value of the naira? It will depend on the way he manages insecurity, to a large extent, it will depend on the way he manages insecurity and the way he manages his relationship with the Western world. An undue inclination towards France will anger Nigerians because they see the French as exploiters and subjugators of African nations. More especially now that there is a rumor that a French consortium is going to be involved in the collection of our taxes. A lot depends on President Tinubu and Atiku and the international community. The current arrests of people who served under Buhari and prosecution is another key factor. If seen as witch hunting the ADC candidates, he might lose support in the north. He might lose support in the north. One of the key factors the ADC will campaign with is that those who were in the PDP will say that the economy was much better under the PDP. They will say that security was better in the PDP era of the PDP, that it is APC from Buhari's time till now that has plunged us into the quagmire of insecurity. They will name those who they consider as sponsors of terrorism who are in this Tinubu cabinet. Tinubu must act fast if he is to stand ground. And then a lot can still happen that we cannot predict. As of today, the ADC is the only formidable alternative that is in Nigeria. And I hope that the best president will emerge in 2027. My permutations might be very, very wrong, but these are the things that crossed my mind. In all, Nigeria kò ní bàjẹ́. Let's vote wisely. Let's defend our votes. Let's speak to INEC, because INEC is another deciding factor. No matter how you vote, if INEC decides to play abracadabra, the results will be far different from how you voted. I must not forget the judiciary and the security forces. They have been instruments that have put us where we are now. When police officers, security agents stand aloof, when rigging is going on, when the judiciary, particularly the Supreme Court, passes judgments that are against natural course of justice, then all the monies and all the efforts in 2027 might end in futility. But the spirit of Nigeria is stronger than all these fellows. Nobody knows